So we're ready to go.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Here we are tonight for the Committee of Adjustments meeting for the Municipality of Prince River of October 19th, 2022. So we'll call to order, and I'm sure the clerk has taken all the presents. We'll do the adoption of the agenda. Can I get somebody to adopt make a motion? I'm looking at a small screen so I can see Dave's hands up. Can I get a seconder? Dean? I'm assuming there's no changes to the agenda. Everybody in favor? Looks like it's unanimous. All right, so any disclosure of pecuniary interest? I don't believe so. Adoption of minutes. So question for you, Mel. The minutes of what date are we looking at here? I'm just looking at a small screen, so sorry.
Minutes of May 18th.
Okay. Get somebody to move the adoption of those minutes. Randy, get a seconder. Madam Mayor, any questions or comments on those? Everybody in favor? Unanimous, thank you. All right, this evening there is a public hearing scheduled for one proposed minor variance, application number A0722FR, Seguin Hardware and Building Supplies. The Committee of Adjustments is holding a public hearing to decide whether or not to approve a minor variance application. The committee will be presented with the details and background of the minor variance application and will receive comments from the public and agencies before a committee decision is made. So I believe I will pass it on to Matt, the Director of Planning.
Notice of public hearing was posted in the municipal office and was sent by mail to the assessed owners within 60 meters of the property subject to the minor variance application this evening. And to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application tonight. The notices were sent on September 28, 2022, being over 10 days prior to this evening's meeting. Included with each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and a key map showing the location of the subject property.
Thank you, Matt. I now declare this a public hearing to deal with the application number A0722FR, Seguin Hardware and Building Supplies. The Director of Planning will advise of the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and provide any other information that is relevant to the application. Matt?
Thank you. Before I jump into the details of the OP and zoning bylaw, I'm just going to refer to the aerial imagery that I provided as part of the agenda this evening. I'll speak to that first so you can have a context and understanding of the site and its relationship with the neighboring properties in the area. So on the aerial imagery, there's a solid white line. So that solid white line represents the subject property. What's unique about the subject property, it's quite large, but it's uniquely shaped. And why is it uniquely shaped? Because it abuts several properties that have frontage on Highway 64. So it makes it unique in that sense. With that said, I also want to look at the block mapping, which is this mapping right here. So this mapping gives you the addresses of the neighboring properties in the area. And I'm specifically looking at address 604, Highway 64, and address 598, Highway 64. So I did conduct a site visit. And if you've been to the site, you'll notice that there's a small house at 604. Why I bring that to your attention is because most people might think that the subject property would back onto this property that we're talking to this evening, and that's not the case. So I just want to bring it to everybody's attention that, yes, if you're on site, you might think that, but in reality, in terms of ownership of the property, it's the neighboring property, which is the real estate company that's next to it, is an L shape. So that L shape actually factors into this decision this night recommendation for myself too this evening. Why is that? Because that L shape creates an additional buffer and there's two existing large sheds and the back to that. So now with that said, you have an understanding and you have a context of the subject property. And those two properties to the west is, and why I highlighted this first before going into the OP and zoning bylaws, because this is where the building's going to be situated once it's erected. So you need to ask yourself these four tests, which I'm going to now go into the official plan. A minor variance application, you might ask yourself, what is a minor variance application? So it's four tests. There's four tests under the Planning Act. And those tests are, is it minor? Is it desirable for the appropriate development and area? Does it maintain the general intent of the official plan? And does it conform to the zoning bylaw? So those are the four tests. So when I'm doing my due diligence, as such, reviewing the policies and site visits, et cetera, those four tests must be satisfied, all four tests. It can't be 3 out of 4, can't be 2 out of 4, it has to be 4 out of 4 tests that need to be satisfied. So it's my responsibility then to dive into each of those tests and to kind of justify whether minor variance for height this evening is deemed appropriate or not. So with that said, so the subject property, submission was made to the Sudbury East Planning Board for an accessory building, storage warehouse. There's an existing building all there, and there's an existing business there presently. So the intent of the application tonight is to request relief to the height. So the height that's permitted on the commercial community zone is 5 meters. 5 meters is equivalent to 16.4 feet. So what the proposal is this evening is an additional 1 meter, 1.03 to be exact, and that's equivalent to 3.37 feet. So that's what the request is this evening, is that additional 3.37 feet for height. So with that said, staff notes that the proposed storage building would be situated approximately 50 meters or 164 feet from the front lot line of Highway 64, and specifically 9 meters or almost 30 feet from the rear lot line of municipally known as 598 Highway 64, which I kind of referred to at the beginning of this conversation, which is Naranski North Realty Brokerage. The proposed footprint of the storage building is approximately 15 meters by 30 meters. Staff is satisfied that the additional 3.37 feet in maximum accessory building height would not have a negative impact on the mixed use character that exists along the portion of Highway 17. Staff notes that the proposed storage building would also immediately abut to the westerly interior side yard, which is an existing road allowance that is owned by a private owner in the area and could provide future access to the surrounding properties in the area. Therefore, again, would not have a negative impact on the subject property to the west. Staff also notes that the proposed storage building would otherwise appear to comply, in other words, would comply with all the other zoning requirements and regulations under the bylaw as it is. So that's another reason for supportability or recommendation this evening for the request for relief. Lastly, the subject property contains an existing store, as I noted earlier, in the storage building, which is known as the Seguin Hardware Building Supplies. So for those reasons and justification, staff recommends that the variance for height be approved because it is minor, appropriate development for the area, meets the intent of the official plan, and conforms to the zoning bylaw for the municipality of French River, which is 2014-23. Now, as part of this process, I also circulate for comments to staff. So I circulate comments. I give a brief summary as what's taking place. I provide that summary to staff here at the municipality of French River. I allow so much time for them to get back to me, which also forms part of my recommendation, my report. And I also provide circulation of that summary to you'll see Bell, hydro, some of the utilities, just in case there's any existing easements on the subject property that nobody may not be aware of. Again, that kind of is a full circle of the information that goes in together for a report like this minor variance this evening. And so considering everything in the context, the minor variance is being recommended this evening for the 1.03 meters in height for an accessory building.
All right, thank you, Matt. So does the applicant have a presentation that he or she wishes to make? I believe Luc Seguin is in the room, so would he like to say anything? You'll have to relay that back to me, Mel. I can't hear that.
Okay, no, we can move on, Rick.
Okay, thank you. All right, are there any questions or comments from a member of the public?
There are
Again,
none.
Mel. Okay, thanks, Mel. And technology is good, but not that good when you can't see the crowd. So, all right, any comments or from council? All good. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public hearing to be concluded. It is now in the order for a member to make a motion and for the committee to consider the application. Somebody make a motion. I see Dean and a seconder, Randy. All right, I saw a hand move. Everybody in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Please be advised that there is a 20-day appeal period during which time any person or public body may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal. During this appeal period, no building permit may be issued or other work commenced. So I guess this meeting is now adjourned. Somebody to propose the adjournment. Dave, I see your hand coming up. All right, thank you very much.
We do need a seconder, Rick.
Oh, sorry, seconder. All right, I see Randy's hand up. Okay, thank you. Everybody in favor? I guess we all are in favor, sure. All right, unanimous. Thank you. Meeting is
you.
adjourned. Thanks, bye-bye.
Okay, wait, and